Rome is burning. For 6 days and 7 nights, flames consume the greatest city in the world. Entire neighborhoods disappear. Thousands are homeless. Ancient temples, priceless monuments, irreplaceable history, all turning to ash. And through it all, one question haunts the survivors. Did Emperor Nero start the fire so he could build the palace of his dreams? This is the story of the Great Fire of Rome and Domus Aurea, the Golden House, a monument to one man's ego so massive, so extravagant, that it would consume the heart of the city. The fire starts in the valley between the Palatine and Caelian hills, in the shops surrounding the Circus Maximus. Rome is a tinderbox, narrow streets, wooden buildings packed together. Fires are common, but this one is different. It spreads with terrifying speed, driven by wind, feeding on centuries of wooden construction. The flames leap from building to building, block to block. People flee with whatever they can carry, and many don't make it out. For 3 days, the fire rages unchecked. Then, just when it seems contained, it flares up again in a different district. By the time it finally burns itself out, 3 of Rome's 14 districts are completely destroyed. 7 more are heavily damaged. Only 4 emerge untouched. Rome, the eternal city, the center of the known world, is a smoking ruin. According to later historians, particularly Suetonius and Cassius Dio, Nero wasn't even in Rome when the fire started. He was at his villa in Antium, about 35 miles away on the coast. When he hears about the fire, he rushes back to Rome, and here accounts diverge wildly. There are 2 versions of the story. In one, Nero actually responds well to the crisis. He opens his own gardens and public buildings to house refugees. He arranges for emergency food supplies to be brought in from the port of Ostia, and he slashes the price of grain, personally overseeing relief efforts. In the other story, Nero watches Rome burn from his palace tower while singing the Sack of Troy, comparing Rome's destruction to the fall of the legendary city. Some accounts say he dressed in theatrical costume and played his lyre while the city died. The historian Tacitus, who was alive during Nero's reign, offers a more measured view. He says Nero's relief efforts were genuine, but people didn't trust him. Rumors were already spreading that Nero had wanted Rome to burn. Why? Because of what he built on the ashes. Before the fire, Rome's center was a chaotic jumble of temples, shops, apartment buildings, and public spaces. Nero lived in a palace on the Palatine Hill, but it wasn't enough for him. He wanted something grander. The fire gave him his opportunity. After the fire, Nero seized massive tracts of land in the heart of Rome, land that just happened to be cleared by the fire. We're talking about roughly 300 acres, possibly more. An area that stretched from the Palatine Hill across the Esquiline Hill, right through the center of the city. And on this land he built the Domus Aurea, the Golden House. The Golden House is designed by Nero's architects Severus and Celer, with interior decoration by the painter Fabulus. And what they create is something Rome has never seen before. The palace complex includes multiple buildings connected by colonnades, an artificial lake, landscaped gardens with forests, vineyards, and pastures, pavilions and grottos, an entire valley transformed into parkland. Inside the main building is the octagonal room, a revolutionary architecture space with a dome that lets in natural light. This kind of concrete dome construction is cutting-edge technology. There is also a rotating dining room, a circular dining room ceiling that rotates powered by water, showering guests with flower petals and perfume. The walls are covered in gold leaf, precious stones, and mother-of-pearl inlaid into the ceilings. At the entrance is a 120-foot-tall bronze statue of Nero himself, the Colossus Neronis, standing in the vestibule. For scale, that's taller than the Statue of Liberty from ground to torch. Romans were not impressed. The Golden House sits where thousands of people used to live, where businesses operated, where temples stood. Nero has essentially privatized the heart of Rome for his personal pleasure palace. The timeline is suspicious. The fire conveniently cleared exactly the land Nero needed. The palace's design seemed almost too perfectly suited to the available space, as if it had been pre-planned. So did Nero actually do it? The answer is we don't know. But what we do know is that Tacitus, a careful historian, says he investigated and found no evidence Nero started it. Nero did try to deflect the blame. He chose an easy target: the Christians. Christianity is a new, misunderstood sect. Romans find them strange and unsettling. They won't worship the emperor. They talk about the world ending and they hold secret ceremonies. Nero arrests Christians en masse and stages elaborate executions. Some are crucified. Some are covered in animal skins and torn apart by dogs, and some are burned alive as human torches to light Nero's gardens at night. Even Romans found this excessive. People started to pity the Christians, seeing them as victims of Nero's cruelty rather than legitimate criminals. This persecution establishes a precedent that will haunt Christians for the next 2 centuries, but it doesn't stop people from suspecting Nero of starting the fire. Nero's reign doesn't last much longer. The lead up to Nero's suicide was a rapid collapse of his power over just a few months in 68 CE, driven by a combination of military revolts, financial crisis, and a loss of political support. The fatal blow came when the Praetorian Guard in Rome itself turned against Nero. Without the Praetorian Guard's protection, Nero is defenseless. On June 8, 68 CE, the Senate declared Nero a public enemy and proclaimed Galba as emperor. They sentenced Nero to be executed in the ancient manner, stripped naked, his head held in a wooden fork, and beaten to death with rods. He quickly made plans to flee, hoping to reach the eastern provinces where he still had some support. He considered various desperate options: fleeing to Parthia, appealing to the people in the Forum, or seeking refuge in Egypt. However, most of his friends and advisors deserted him. According to Suetonius, he found that his guards had abandoned their posts. His companions had left, and even the poison he kept for emergencies had been stolen. He tried to find someone to help him commit suicide, crying out, "Have I neither friend nor foe?" Only a few loyalists remained, including his freedman Phaon, who offered his villa as a hiding place. It was at this villa, just 4 miles from Rome, that Nero spent his final hours before taking his own life. The emperors who followed Nero wanted to distance themselves from his excesses, and the Golden House became their target. Vespasian drained Nero's artificial lake and built the Colosseum, a public amphitheater replacing Nero's private playground. The name Colosseum actually comes from the Colossus of Nero that stood nearby. Then Titus built public baths where part of the palace stood. The Golden House was deliberately entombed, erased, and forgotten. Whether Nero started the fire or simply exploited it, the result was the same. He took a catastrophe that left thousands homeless and turned it into an opportunity to build his fantasy palace. The Romans who lost their homes, their businesses, and their livelihoods in the fire had to look at it every day, a golden reminder of what their emperor valued most: himself. Thank you for watching. For more vivid tales from Roman history, like and subscribe.